I'd like to welcome you all back to the IE427 garage. Today, or at least in this video, we're going to start this vehicle. I promise. But it's raining today. You know the old saying, it never rains in Southern California. But it is raining today, and so not being able to open the doors to get good ventilation, we're not going to be starting it today, but we will in this video. I did, however, get some powder coated parts back from the powder coater, so we're going to install those first, and then we'll see about moving on to getting this thing started. So these are going to be the pieces that I dropped off at the powder coater last week, about 10 days ago. So you can see I've got pieces for a set of hood hinge hardware. So there's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 pieces that make up the hood hinges for a Factory 5 Mark III. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to save what hardware I can and replace those pieces that I can't reuse. We had a couple of pieces, 3 pieces for the 25th anniversary card powder coated. We have the upper brace, we have the bridge brace, and then we have the main bracket for the Willwood pedal box assembly. And I just had these powder coated in a gloss black. Since everything else I had was going gloss black, that's what we did that. It's not going to be seen, but at least it'll be powder coated, so the chances of it rusting will be even less. We also did the trunk lid cover. This goes inside the trunk lid and covers up that oblong shaped oval hole where you fish your license plate wires through. We've got the underdash panel for the passenger side of Michael's car, the underdash panel for the driver's side of Michael's car, and then we have this piece that is going to be where our headlight switch and our hazard light switch mount right here behind the dash. So you can see that's going to be a really nice piece back in there. The other pieces that I had coated, I had these ceramic coated. I bought a pair of side pipes from another builder who didn't use his bare steel side pipes, and we had those ceramic coated in a bright silver metallic, just like the ones we have on Michael's car. So I'm going to be putting those for sale. Probably on Facebook and possibly on one of the forums, and seeing if I can sell those. So basically they're going to look just like these. The ones that I just had finished do not have the bungs welded in for O2 sensors. So, you know, hopefully somebody with a car that already has O2 sensors in the side pipes or in the headers, they'll work for them, or somebody that's doing a carbureted car. So that's what I had done from the powder coater. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mount that headlight switch panel, and then I'll probably sneak over here to the passenger side and put the underdash panel in on here. I'm probably going to wait until we get this car started, and then I'll put the underdash panel in on the driver's side, simply because if we have any wiring gremlins, they're probably going to be on that side of the car, and I just don't want to have to tear it apart if I don't have to. So we'll wait on that until we get this thing fired. It's Thursday right now, gang, and so we're probably going to fire this car on Saturday, because I'll just have more time. And so we'll get up on Saturday morning, we'll grab some breakfast. We'll come back here, and then we'll try to get this thing fired up. And then if we run into any issues with any tuning stuff, we'll have the rest of the day to get those squared away. And hopefully by Sunday, I'll be dragging the trailer back to the shop here from my other shop with the body, the hardtop, and the windshield, and we'll be able to start putting all that stuff on the car to get it all pre-fit. So hang in there and let's see if we can get this all taken care of in this one video. Alright gang, so there is the switch panel that we've got. Of course, we've got the switch for our hazards. There's no hazard lights installed, so of course the flasher defaults to just constantly being on, so that works. And we've got our headlight. And you can see as soon as we pull the headlight switch, the dash lights come on. Still, I'm just in love with those gauges for the dash. We've even got the horn button that lights up, and the horn works. So, one thing I'm going to tell you guys that I don't remember if I said in a previous video, if you're using the speed hut gauges that have the separate dimmer, you have to wire the dimmer that's on the actual headlight switch here so that it's constantly on. So basically what we do is we cut that wire at the terminal right here, and we splice it into the taillights. So it just has constant power all the time, and only the dimmer from the speed hut gauges now control the dimness. So for instance, when I dim the speed hut gauges, you'll see them, the glow on them start to go down. The dials stay lit. That's the way they're designed. But the horn, the indicator for the horn, it never gets dim because it just has constant power, and that's fine. Anyways, so I'm going to move on to the other side. I did leave 2 of the screws out on this side of the panel because the panel's going to have to come out so that we can get the windshield to go in. The windshield's going to slide right down here. I'm probably not going to bolt the windshield in to pre-fit the top. I'm just going to rest it in there, so I won't have to pull it off then, but I will have to pull it off when we get the body back from paint after Jeff Miller does his magic. So I'm just going to leave just that one screw in there for now, and it'll be fine. It'll hold everything just the way it needs to be. Alright, so here is the passenger side under dash panel. I've got the USB port all mounted into the panel. There's a little bit of clouding on the surface of the panel because I haven't wiped it off yet. That's actually from the shrink wrap, that clear cellophane they put on there. I have the under dash light installed, and then I've got the eyeball for the heater installed. And so I've still got to figure out how I'm going to make a disconnect for this, because we want the panel to be removable. And I don't remember how much wire I've got under the dash. If I've got enough, I may just splice the wires in, because I don't know how long-lived these lights are going to be. And then, of course, the duct will tie into the back of the vent, and then there's 2 wires that go into the USB port on the back. Whoa, a little closer. A positive and a negative, and those are on keyed power, so that they're not on all the time, because there's actually a little transformer inside that unit that takes 12 volts and turns it into 5 volts for the USB. And if you leave that on constant power all the time, it's constantly going to be draining power from your battery. So keep that in mind if you put a USB port in your car. Alright, over on this side, I've got the bottom panel in. The reflection off of this fat mat is just something else right now. So I've got the panel in, and what I did is I chose to do the stainless steel screws on the bottom side of the dash here, but where it goes underneath the panel right here, I went with the black screws, and I've just got them snug right now. They'll get tightened down. I want these panels in when this goes to the upholsterer so that he doesn't how do I say this? So I don't get the short end of the stick and have issues with clearance later. Like if he decides to carpet something, at least he'll know that these are supposed to go there. So if he decides to carpet the bottom of the top of the foot box, it's not going to mess me up because he can carpet around it this way, and then the panel can still fit in there like I designed it. So that's in right now. I will tell you that even I make mistakes from time to time, and even though I pointed out to you, hey, make sure that this USB is on switched power, I forgot that I used the switched power that I was going to use, which would have been for a radio in the Ron Francis harness. I used that for the radio that we put back here, the amplifier. So I ended up having to put a relay in on the back side of this panel. Since it's only for that USB, I figured I would just put the relay right there. And then I robbed some switched power off of the heater so that it activates the relay, and so the USB port is still off of the radio memory, which is a constant hot, but the relay switches it on and off now. So it only comes on with the key. I hope that made sense to all you guys. But so that's where I'm going to leave the panels. The next thing you guys see, hopefully, will be me starting this thing on Saturday. So hang tight. It'll just be a few minutes or a few seconds for you guys. It'll be 2 days for me. So
no, it's so that.
So you're going to be the first one to talk on video. Hey guys, we've got the whole gang here to do a first start on Michael's Mark III today. You can see we've got John over here, we got Jeff, we got Antny, and Dave. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can fire this thing and get it to run. We've at least got to get it to operating temperature so the fan kicks on. So wish us luck. So fuel pump's in. We should get fuel pump to run. A little bit of noise back there. Clutch is disconnected from the...
Felt something.
All right, she runs.
Idle's perfectly.
Did it? Okay.
I'm holding it.
Oh, you're holding it? Okay, let it... Okay, yeah.
I said it idles perfectly.
Yeah, see, you set warm idle on it, but until it actually gets to temperature, it doesn't start to self-learn. So let's try it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dave's holding it to get it to idle right now because the computer won't learn until we get it to a certain temperature. We're going to see if we can get it warm enough that Dave can let that go. We got tack.
Yeah. Oil pressure?
You got oil pressure here.
Mechanical gauge?
Yeah, that's not hooked up.
Okay.
We're not running it through the Holly because
Okay.
I explained this earlier in the video. The 4.6 liter, if you wanted to use that second port, it sticks it straight down and it's just below the frame, and I didn't want it to get knocked off on a speed bump. As it starts to warm, Dave, just kind of back off and see if it'll hold. Yeah, it's going to take a while. It's a little cold today. Now I'm going to turn this on and see if we can get water to circulate through the valve. Are we charging?
Yes. We're at 14.4.
All right. That was one of my big concerns because that trigger wire, the excite wire for this 4G alternator, there's differing opinions on whether you need the resistor or not. So I had to pull the resistor out because I wanted to make sure it charged. What do you see? Anything there, Jeff? No leaks?
Smoking a little bit.
Oh.
I think I probably just lay down all installed. We
can run it up. once the fan kicks on, what are we at on coolant temperature?
103.
Yeah, we can take it off, we can leave it on, it doesn't matter at this point. When the fan kicks on, it's going to be really hard to pull off though. Why don't we, I guess we can bump the fuel pressure up. But see, until we can get it to idle, I really don't want to adjust it. Once it warms, it'll start adjusting the numbers. But it won't do that until it goes into closed loop. So it has to come up to 160 degrees, I think, Anthony? We've done the snipers a couple of times, and it's the same software. So until you can get it to go into closed loop, it doesn't adjust anything. It's just running off the base tune. And there's no idle adjustment on that throttle body.
I was looking for it already.
Even the air intake, there's no adjustment on it. So, like on a Fox body, you can actually twist it.
Same with the Z's. You just twist it.
Back it off and see if it'll.
Way down, let it come way down. There you go. All right.
Okay. So I'm going to shut the camera off for a second. We're going to see if we can adjust the fuel pressure up, and I'll bring you guys back.
Very happy with the oil pressure.
All right, we went ahead and we adjusted the fuel pressure, and so we're right at 43, 44 now. Didn't change our idle any though. It'll recover. And so we're just waiting for this thing to come up to temp so it'll start to learn. And hopefully when we get to, I think, 190, 195, the fan will kick on, and then we'll be sure it went into closed loop.
Now, do we have to be somewhere else?
No, you can be right here. We're gonna sign off here, guys. I just didn't want to turn the camera off and have these guys disappear. So I want to thank Jeff, and I want to thank Dave, and I want to thank Anthony, and I want to thank John for coming out here today. We have two little problems, one of which we fixed. The fan wasn't coming on, and it was just operator error. I had a fuse out. The second thing is we've got an airlock situation in the coolant right now. And so what we're going to do is we're going to wait for this thing to cool off a little. We're going to pop the cap right here. We're going to fill up the rest of the system with more coolant and see if we can get that airlock situation taken care of. And then we're going to do a TPS relearn after we do a adjustment on the throttle blades. So that's going to do it for the guys. I'll be back with you guys in just a second. All right, everybody, that is going to be a wrap for this one. I have the battery back on the charger, and we have first start on Michael's car. We still have one issue. We're maxed out on the IAC, which is the air intake controller. So basically when the car is cold, it varies the level of air that passes by the throttle blades in order to keep the car running as it's warming up. Once it's warm, it doesn't matter. But right now it's holding at 100%, and we can see the value changes as we crack the throttle. But since we're already at 100%, it's not going to open anymore. So what I'm going to do is, this is a non-adjustable throttle stop. Although it does have threads, there's no head on it. So you can't put a wrench on it or anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the throttle body off. I'm going to back that out, and I'm going to replace it with a bolt, essentially a machine screw of the same thread pitch and length, but something that has a head on it, and then put a stop nut on it so we can adjust the butterfly of the throttle body up a little bit, because we're just not getting enough movement in that in order to make the Holly do its thing. But other than that, the car runs just perfectly. We're hoping to get this thing off the lift here and move it around on its own power here really quick. We did have an issue with, and I don't know if I touched on that earlier as we were talking about it. All the guys have gone home. It's a little bit later in the day, but I wanted to update y'all on where we stand with this thing. We did have an airlock issue. Even though we went through the painstaking process of trying to get all the air out of the system before we started the car, we still had air in the thermostat housing. And we just had the dickens of a time. It's the holiday season, so I'm going to include that. Trying to get the air bleeded out of the thermostat housing, because the thermostat housing is mounted low on the car. It's not actually in the engine block. It's in a little housing of its own. And a bunch of coolant hoses come into it and out of it. And we were getting coolant flow through the engine because we were seeing heat in the heater core. But we weren't getting any flow through the radiator. And it's a really complex system on these modular Fords. But needless to say, we ended up bleeding the air out after a number of starts of the car, and then using that, what do we want to call it? That cap that's on the top of the crossover tube right here. We opened that up a couple of times. We added more fluid in through there. And then we did the procedure of squeezing on the hoses to percolate any air that we could see in the system out. And we finally got the thermostat to open. It came to temperature. The fan turned on. And then at that point, we decided we probably have done enough damage for the day. We just kind of left it alone. And I'm going to concentrate on getting that, that throttle stop taken care of. Other than that, it's been relatively uneventful. I did have an issue with the battery. I discharged the battery completely and had to recharge it overnight, but it seems to be holding a charge. We're going to keep an eye on that over the next week or so. And then we had that issue with the fan, and it turned out it was operator error. I had blown a fuse on the turn signal system earlier in the build. And so during testing, I didn't want to walk all the way back to the toolbox. It's right over there, 10 steps away. I pulled the fuse out for the choke, the electronic choke, which we're using to activate the coil side of the relay for the cooling fan. Well, the fan's not going to come on with no power to the positive side of the coil. The Holley dictates the ground, and that's what closes the coil or powers the coil and then activates the relay. So that was just operator. Once I put a fuse in it, it worked fine. So really a positive step forward. I'm looking forward to in the next week getting the body brought to the shop here. I already have the hardtop and the body loaded in the trailer on the other end, and we're going to get that all brought over here to the shop and then start fitting that so then we can get this out to Jeff Miller. And I'm hoping, I don't know when you guys are going to see this video, I'm hoping that the week before or after Christmas, I'm going to have to check on Jeff's schedule, we can drop this off over there to get him to start working on it. And then once the car is back here in our shop, we will work on doing any last minute things that we need to do in order to get it out to upholstery. And then we'll drop it off at upholstery, and then you guys will see us start working on the 25th anniversary car. So look forward to that in the future. I'm going to sign off for now. Appreciate everybody watching. One of the interview videos for Mike Hartman just dropped today, and the views are just overwhelming. So I want to thank you guys all for watching that. There still are two more episodes with that, so keep an eye out for those. And then like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys all next time. Have a great day.